Well, good morning and welcome to the aforementioned Grow Omaha radio show. My name is Jeff Beals, your co-host, broadcasting live from the KFAB Penthouse Studio high above Underwood Avenue in beautiful downtown Dundee. You're not going to find another show in the metro area that discusses what we do, and that is the growth and development of your favorite community. Big shout out to our sponsors. They are Dingman's Collision Center with 4 metro area locations, along with Cheer Athletics, the nation's #1 all-star cheer gym, only 15 of them in the world, one of which is just southwest of Highways 50 and 370 in Papillion. Well, without any further ado, we're not going to bring on Trenton Magid because we're giving him another week off. Got to keep that guy fresh. So in his stead, helping out this week is a voice that you may remember from a while. It's been over a year since he's been here, but Brian Hartman, one of our colleagues at NAI NP Dodge, is back in the house. Brian, glad you're back on the show.
Yes, Jeff, thank you for having me. It's been a while, but happy to be back and miss the studio.
Well, it's good to have you back. And Brian does a lot of commercial real estate brokerage, but you it's safe to say you specialize in Sarpy County, or you tend to focus a lot of your efforts in Sarpy County, even though you will work all over the whole metro area.
Yes, 10, 15 years ago, I just recognized Sarpy County as definitely a growing county and where there's going to be a lot of action going forward, and our guests will be able to speak about that as well, which will be really interesting. So I focused on it and got to know the farmers, got to know the stakeholders and the city and county people. So yeah, it's been a great county to work in.
Well, and as Brian just kind of hinted there later in the program, we're going to be discussing some Sarpy County growth and development issues and something very important that is necessary in order for growth in Sarpy County to happen. So stay with us. But before we get to that, we have a few things. And first of all, want to give a shout out to our own Brad Williams. You know Brad. He's on the show all the time, our official photographer. Brad is exhibiting this weekend at the Countryside Village Art Fair. That runs from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. today, and from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. tomorrow. Now, it's going to be really easy to find Brad's booth if you go there. In true Brad Williams fashion, he requested that his booth is right next door to the Casual Pint. Brad is a big craft beer aficionado, so it's a perfect place for him. But stop out and see him. Truly, his photography, and it's not just Omaha shots, which he's famous for, but a lot of wildlife shots. He'll go out and take pictures in the western states and pretty cool stuff. Hey, I want to also give a plug for Terra Gaucha, a new Brazilian steakhouse that opened in the former Charleston's restaurant building at 138th and West Dodge Road. Had a chance to preview it Thursday night ahead of its grand opening yesterday. It's a fun place. It is a classic Brazilian steakhouse. If you've ever been to one of those, you know they have the cold bar, the hot bar. They bring skewers of piping hot meat, and they slice it for you right at your table. It's a lot of fun. This one, I'd say, it's like maybe somewhat elevated compared to maybe some of the Brazilian steakhouses I've been to. So if you're into that, give it a try. Go hungry, though. It's very easy to overeat at these places, and I can attest as I sat up sleeping on the couch for a while because I ate so much of that stuff. All right, let's go into our news of the week, which is brought to you by Eagle Mortgage, eaglemortgagecompany.com. Their office is located at 114th and Davenport, and whether you stop in or talk to them virtually, they do the same thing, help you with your home loan. Now, Eagle Mortgage is not a bank. They are not beholden to a bank. They shop the market on their client's behalf, your behalf, to get the best lending solution out there. Doesn't matter if you want to go a conventional loan, FHA, VA, or some of the specialty loans, Eagle Mortgage will help you with that. Holly Schneidwin, the proprietor, has a great team of people that are very customer service focused. EagleMortgageCompany.com. All right, Brian, do you remember when we were kids, you and I both grew up here, do you remember Kitty Clover potato chips? And they had that commercial on TV that says, "Come on over to Kitty Clover." You're drawing a blank. I can see it on your face.
Until the jingle came, I was blank. But the jingle rings a bell.
It was a long time ago. Well, their office and potato chip factory was on the northwest corner of 24th and Martha. The building's still there. And a local businessman is converting that building into Clover 24. See what he did there? with a name. Clover 24, venue for artists and entrepreneurs. Clover 24 will offer space for co-working space for entrepreneurs, and then I think studios for artists. So sounds like kind of a cool urban amenity in South O.
Well, yes. Now the Hot Shops is still operating
Oh, yeah.
on the north side. Okay, and that was very successful, and I'm guessing it's still occupied and active with the same type of concept. I'm wondering.
Yes, absolutely. In fact, it's my understanding that the Hot Shops, and forgive me if I'm wrong, ladies and gentlemen, but it's my understanding that it's kind of hard to get in there. There's so much
that's
demand
my
for
thinking
it.
as well.
Yeah, that something like this is maybe designed to take some of the overflow, some of the extra demand that's out there.
With a South Omaha location.
Yeah, other side of downtown. So yeah, Hot Shops, as Brian indicated, north side. It's in Millwork Commons. The actual address would be 13th and Nicholas, southwest corner. And that's a pretty
Very
cool place.
nice.
All right, we had a ribbon cutting this week in Midtown. It was for the Catalyst. That is the first building to officially open on the University of Nebraska Medical Center's new Edge District. This is a really cool area on the west side of Saddle Creek Road. Now, the Catalyst itself was a former steel factory that was built, I believe, in 1906. And this thing was a very important steel factory for many decades. I mean, it contributed to the Allied war effort in World War II, cranking out steel that was necessary to build weapons and God knows what in order for us to win that war. A very important place, but it had been vacant for a while, as old steel plants do. They tend to become eyesores. Well, the Med Center has fixed it up. It's absolutely amazing. It was a project in coordination with Colbull and Company and Green Slate Development. And it's really cool. 170,000 square foot building. This is where they will house those entities that take innovations at the university and bring it to private industry. And it'll also be home to Big Grove Brewery, a very impressive brewery out of Iowa that is supposed to open here pretty soon.
Well, another powerful economic generator for that part of town, and the Med Center just keeps giving and giving in many ways.
Yeah, it's just fun to see all the progress in that area. And while we're on the topic of academic development, the Biomechanics Research Building at UNO is getting a $17.1 million addition. Groundbreaking was held this week. The principal benefactor is Ruth Scott and the William and Ruth Scott Family Foundation. This will be a 3-story addition that will add 19,000 square feet to the east end of the existing building. And then, Brian, our final story for this week's segment, the city of Omaha plans to add 3,558 people to its population rolls and 1,400 plus acres of land as part of its 2025 annexation package. A large majority of the annexation includes Flanagan Lake and the surrounding areas, northwest Omaha, relatively new NRD Lake, and a few subdivisions here and there. So the package has to go through all the normal processes. But one little interesting thing is it also includes the condominiums on top of the Aloft Hotel at 180th and Dodge area. So that's probably 10 people or something, like 8. So that part of the annexation is 7.5 people. But altogether, it is a little over 3,500 people.
That seems like a large annexation package,
lately,
compared to previous years.
Yeah, lately, because the last couple of years, if I remember correctly, the city of Omaha has not been very aggressive with annexation at all, and I think they were trying to catch up with some of the big annexations they had done earlier. There have been times where you see 15, 20,000 people come in with an annexation package, but the last couple of years it's been pretty skinny.
So a good sign for health of SIDs, and a lot of those bonds need to be in the right place for a city to annex them. So that bodes well for the health of a lot of the SIDs that have been performing here in the city. So.
Yeah, when the city feels that it's ready to take them in. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is your news of the week, which is brought to you by Eagle Mortgage, eaglemortgagecompany.com. Going to take our first break of the hour, and when we come back, we're going to talk about sewers. No, don't turn the channel. You're going to love hearing about this, actually, because you cannot develop any part of our metropolitan area if you don't have the sewers planned out ahead of time. Think about it. And so we are going to interview Dan Hoynes and Don Kelly. Both of these gentlemen have roles with the Sarpy County and City's Wastewater Agency. Sarpy County has been held back for development purposes for a lot of years because of some natural topographical things that were making sewers difficult. A lot of land is opening up for development in Sarpy County, and it's going to be pretty impressive. So stay with us. This will not be a crappy conversation. You are listening to Jeff Beals and Brian Hartman substituting for the vacationing Trenton Maggot on Grow Omaha, brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center, along with Cheer Athletics on News Radio 1110 KFAB. And welcome back to the show. Jeff Beals sitting next to Brian Hartman from NAI NP Dodge Commercial Real Estate. He is substituting for Trenton Maggot, who has the weekend off. Thank you to our sponsors, Cheer Athletics, the nation's #1 all-star cheer gym, and Dingman's Collision Center, frequent Best of Omaha Award winner, outstanding body shop and mechanical repair company with 4 metro area locations. Before we go any further, I just want to say, why couldn't my grandfather have purchased farmland on the south side of the Sarpy County Ridge back in the day? We'd all be so rich because there's going to be so much development coming to the south side of Sarpy County. And we're going to address that today. And as I said earlier, if you were with us before the break, you can't build houses and office buildings unless you have the sewer first. And we have 2 representatives today from the Sarpy County and City's Wastewater Agency. That would include the chairman of the organization, who happens to be Sarpy County Commissioner Don Kelly, and then the administrator of that relatively new agency, Dan Hoynes. Dan and Don, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Thank you.
Good to have you guys with us. And I think we're going to go ahead and start with a lay of the land, so to speak. And we've known that Sarpy County is consistently one of the fastest growing counties in Nebraska, explosive growth. But we also know that there's a lot of it that hasn't been touched. And a lot of people wonder why, with all of the population growth, why doesn't the growth go further in Sarpy County? So why don't we start with a background of the topographical ridge line and why that causes issues for sewer construction, and development. Bring us to where we are right now.
Yeah, sure. Thanks. As you mentioned, there's a hydraulic ridge line that runs across the county from the northwest to the southeast that sort of separates the county in half. And when they originally started growth and development on the northern half of the county, all that was sewered, and it ran into the Papio watershed, the Papio Creek watershed, and flowed down to the plant down on the Missouri River. South of that ridgeline, however, it was mostly acreages and farms and rural areas. But as Sarpy County started to develop out, we discovered quite a while ago that people want to live there because it's a high quality of life. There's a lot of great amenities, great schools. And so what we saw happening in the southern half of the county was people were developing acreages. And acreages are great. They certainly are. But they don't provide enough of a tax base to provide the infrastructure you need to keep that quality of life present. So we looked at some options beginning back in 2005 to actually sewer the southern half of the county. Those didn't really gain any traction, although they were a multi-jurisdictional plan with all the cities in the county. And it wasn't until about 2015 where we said, if we don't do something soon, we're going to lose this opportunity. So we got together with the 5 cities and did some initial brainstorming, some crayon summits, if you will, scoping out a plan. And the first thing we realized is we didn't have any political authority to do anything because we were just 6 different entities, the 5 cities of Sarpy County and the county itself. So we went down to the legislature in 2017 and asked for the permission to form this multi-jurisdictional agency whose sole purpose will be to put the sewer infrastructure in the part of our county where it didn't exist. It was an interesting set of hearings that we sat through, and generally I would say the legislators were very supportive, but they were very concerned that we were going to increase property taxes. And as we all know, property taxes are high enough as they are. But we were able to lay out a plan for them that convinced them that it was a good idea, and by a unanimous vote, believe it or not, they gave us the authority to form this agency, and that's what kicked it off in 2017. And here we are 8 years later, finally cutting the ribbon on the first phase of 3 phases for this project.
Yeah, this is Brian. One thing I wanted to say as I was waiting for today's show is thank you for your leadership. We were talking in between the breaks about all the different stakeholders that you are managing to create a vision and perform on that vision. So thank you for that. And I'm guessing you don't maybe get as many thank yous as you should get. And then the other question I had is from my community, the brokers that deal with land and the developers. Could you talk about where are we at physically with the completion, and where should we be focusing our efforts in a general sense to work with farmers as to where some development projects should go to start developing out this new district area?
Thank you, Brian and Jeff. Dan Hoynes, administrator for the agency. That question could take the rest of the morning, so I will try and be very, very efficient with the response. As Commissioner Kelly mentioned, Chairman Kelly, Monday we'll be doing a formal ceremony. Although we started to flow in December, we're getting around to this time of year where we're going to formally recognize it. The governor will be there, Senator Holcroft, critical supporters in here. But from a farmer land use development perspective, we have this first phase completed, as the Chairman mentioned. That opens up 10,500 acres that was not previously open for development. That equates with all of our government math, if you will, to we could accommodate 60,000 more residents in Sarpy County today.
Just with that,
just on the
acres?
phase 1 line. Now it's always not that neat because there are different needs, development, and one thing we've really tried to emphasize as an organization is we don't really decide what's going to develop. It is the development community, the people that are actually spending money. It's our job to partner with them. And so if they want to go a different area, and I heard the term reimbursement of lines, so, and the commissioner had mentioned too, we made a promise to the legislators, and we've been able to hold that and we'll continue. This should not be tax supported. We've never used 1 penny of property tax money. It's primarily supported by rates and fees. And we're $150 million in today. And we've not 1 penny of that is a property tax dollar. I'll pause there. I'm not sure if I answered your question.
No, that's great. What I do kind of a follow up, and generally for phase, and you have really good literature and maps out there, but generally the phase that's open now would be the phase that's around 72nd K part, where that residential development. Did that get turned on?
Yes, they're connecting today.
And then the stuff on Highway 50 is part. And are those the two main areas for the
data
phase
centers,
1?
and all the way east over to Bellevue then. So it's basically from central Sarpy County, 72nd K part, south of Springfield, and then east over to the Missouri River.
Oh, and that's all going to be in phase 1.
If you look at that map on the website or in there, it's we put in 42 miles of pipe
already
in this first phase. Now that part of it's for cold water blowdown for data centers, but it's about half and half.
Okay.
42 total miles.
And so when you talk about those 42 miles, does that include every little finger of a sewer that goes up and down every residential street, or is that just
no? The
connecting
agency
to subdivisions?
only really is involved in the trunk line.
Right. Okay.
The individual members are still working with the development community to create the outfall sewers.
Okay. So we're talking with Dan Hoynes and Don Kelly representing Sarpy County and City's Wastewater Agency. And now that the first phase, which could theoretically accommodate 60,000 additional people in Sarpy County, is ready to go, are there developers that are queued up for this? Or are there people who've been kind of waiting in the wings for this to become available and are now ready to pounce?
Well, we certainly hope so. I will tell you that the first major development is already underway just south of Cape Hart and southeast of 72nd Street. So that's very good. I don't know of any other economic development initiative in the state that's just going to be as large as this and have such a great impact, not only on the metropolitan area in Sarpy County, but also on the state. Some of our analysis said that this will add $15.7 billion economic impact to the state of Nebraska. And because of that, we've had a big fan in Governor Pillen. He's been very helpful to help us with some of the early financing and to get us additional support that we needed. But it's just such an interesting agency. You know, it's hard enough to get two people to agree to anything in politics. But can you imagine having 5 mayors and a county board trying to agree on what's best? I mean, they all have, for the right reasons, their own goals and desires, but to come together and agree on what's best for the greater good, that's pretty remarkable. And behind those mayors, and I love the mayors, don't get me wrong, they're great folks, but they really don't control anything in their cities. Their cities are controlled by their city councilmen. And there's probably another almost 50 of those folks that have to be on board with everything we're doing. Everything we do has to be approved by each city council and the county board. And the fact that we've been doing this now since 2017 and we've had consent. And I'm not saying there haven't been any disagreements or arguments, but we've always come together and now we're seeing the fruition of all these efforts with the economic development that we've been hoping would come.
Well, we are going to take our middle of the show break, but when we come back, we're going to have a couple more questions for Dan Hoynes and Don Kelly here today representing the Sarpy County and City's Wastewater Agency. So the news is coming up next, and then much more to come after that. We've got Brian Hartman from NAI NP Dodge substituting for Trenton. I'm Jeff Beals, and we are brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center along with Cheer Athletics on News Radio 1110 KFAB. Thank you, Scott Voorhees. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show. Grow Omaha. We have Brian Hartman here from NAI NP Dodge, my colleague at the commercial real estate company, and he is substituting for Trenton Magid, who has the weekend off. Show's brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center and Cheer Athletics. All right, it's time for your Noddle Companies commercial real estate development spotlight of the week. Thank you to Noddle Companies for being a key sponsor. They are a premier real estate developer here in the metro area and all over the country. In Omaha, the Noddle Companies are famous for Exarban Village and the Builders District downtown, so many corporate headquarters buildings. You know, we're talking about Sarpy County today. Noddle Companies has a really cool project that's part of the Gretna Landing development near 192nd and 370. That's going to be taking off here pretty soon. But today we talk about a Noddle Companies project in North Downtown called the Builders District. It is centered on and around the Kiewit Global Headquarters, and we've got some news this week about that. Film Streams, which is in the Builders District, and Noddle Companies have announced a new outdoor movie series. It's going to be scheduled every month for the next 6 months. These free public screenings will take place in the brand new Builders Green in the Builders District. This is a little urban pocket park. The actual address is 724 North 16th Street. It's just kind of that land between the Builders District and Creighton University that is going to rapidly develop. It is 3 blocks northwest of the Film Stream's Ruth Sokoloff Theater. First up is the 2012 classic from director Wes Anderson, Moonrise Kingdom. That'll take place on June 9th at 8 o'clock p.m. And that is your Noddle Companies commercial real estate development spotlight of the week. You can find out more about our friends at Noddle by going to, well, noddlecompanies.com. We have with us today Dan Hoynes. He is the agency administrator of the Sarpy County and City's Wastewater Agency. He is accompanied by Don Kelly, the chairman of that organization, who also happens to be a Sarpy County commissioner. Now, gentlemen, in the last segment, we were talking about the critical importance of making development possible in the southern two-thirds, the southern and western two-thirds of Sarpy County, and phase 1 of this new sewer has opened up 10,500 acres, which we can now accommodate 60,000 more people in Sarpy County. What's next? Because there's still a lot more beyond that 10,500 acres. What are some of the coming phases, and what impact might they have on the future development of Nebraska's third largest county?
Thank you, Jeff. Brian Dan Hoynes again. Last November, the Wastewater Agency, and again, the membership of that's not only Commissioner Kelly, but all 5 city mayors that are the voting members, approved an agency master plan. And if you're interested, it's sccwwa.org, agency master plan. But in that master plan, we project out the future phases of, we refer to them as phase 1B, designated by blue, phase 2 designated by green, and then future designated by red. But again, we're about a third of the way done there, but not using property tax dollars, we're dependent on the rate of development, combined with the individual autonomy members saying we want that development. So the way it happens, if you look at that map, if a city wants city agency member, county wants to develop the blue line, then they would work with us to advance that, and we would use the fees very simply. It's more complex. The fees they pay, we would use as a reimbursement for them to advance it, Jeff and Brian.
So just so I understand, if we fully build out the area that is in the long-term plan, we could see someday 350,000 or more people in the county, could we not?
That projection number is what we predicted about 5 years ago after going through some exercises with densities and our land use planning and everything. And about it would cap out at about 350. That's pretty significant growth.
And that also, this for the Metro Omaha area opens up a lot of availability just for the growth for the city of Omaha. Versus, Omaha only has so many places it can grow, and like Northwest Omaha would be another alternative. But really, that amount of land is not a huge supply of land there too. So I mean, this by opening this up is really a benefit for the entire city of Omaha for increased population growth.
Yes, Brian, and again, I think you talked about thank yous earlier. We probably haven't talked enough about the city of Omaha and their partnership on this. They've always been the sewer provider for Sarpy County for the most part. But for them to partner with us when we go back to the 18-19 timeframe when we were planning to build our own sewer plant down at Springfield, but Omaha came in at about 19 and said, let's partner, saved over $100 million and reduced we only needed 1 sewer plant instead of 2. So the whole economy and environment, but Omaha partnering with us, I think was key and critical. They understand that development doesn't necessarily respect Harrison Street. It's going to go where it's going to go.
Well, and I think the jurisdictions in this whole metro area have always done a pretty good job of getting along. Oh, sure, sometimes there can be differences of opinions and different interests, but for the most part, we seem to have pretty good partnerships in this region, and I think it's one of our many strengths, both economically and otherwise.
Yeah, I would agree, Jeff. I mean, our relationship with the cities is very collegial, and it's been a really great experience for me personally. I guess I could have never envisioned that someday I'd be a quote unquote a sewer czar, if you will.
Hey, we all have our ambitions, Don.
But I mean, I was a career Air Force officer, flew in airplanes here at Offutt and other places, and when you've flown a B-1 at 300 feet off the desert floor, evading enemy air defenses and aircraft, running a sewer system isn't all that difficult. So, no, it's been a great relationship, and in addition to some of the folks we've already spoke about, I think we would be remiss if we didn't mention some of our partners on the contractor side. Hawkins Construction was our primary contractor on the initial phase 1, and also HDR. So 2 great Omaha firms that are, and it just feels better to work with local people who are invested in our community and want to see us succeed. So it's been a great partnership.
Well, like we said earlier, the Sarpy County and City's Wastewater Agency will have a ceremony commissioning this first phase. which will open up a tremendous development in the county. It is June 9th, so coming up pretty soon, 2 o'clock p.m. Where's that going to be held?
It'll be held just south of Springfield, I think 2 miles. The address is on there. I don't have it. We have the address on the front there. It's at the Springfield lift station. It's where our primary, where we lift stuff to go over, about 2 miles south on the east side of the road.
All right. Well, like we say, it's not sexy, it's not glamorous, but sewers are the thing that drives development all over the metro area and anywhere else. So, gentlemen, we thank you for all of the hard work that you personally and all of your colleagues and team members have put in since this got started in 2005. We appreciate you joining us. Dan Hoynes, Agency Administrator, Don Kelly, Chairman, and also Sarpy County Commissioner. Appreciate you guys being here.
Thanks for having us. We really had a good time.
All right. We're going to take our final break of the hour. And when we come back, Brian and I are going to take you through the Perkins Kreitzer Construction Lightning Round, in which we talk about a lot of Grow Omaha stories very, very fast. And there are a lot of them. So this is going to be your ammunition for the picnic or cocktail party you go to tonight. So stay with us. Get your notepad out. The lightning round is next on News Radio 1110 KFAB. And welcome back to Grow Omaha, sponsored by Cheer Athletics and Dingman's Collision Center. We have Brian Hartman from NAI NP Dodge with us today, substituting for Trenton. And it is time for your Perkins Kreitzer Construction Lightning Round, which is brought to you by Perkins Kreitzer Construction, appropriately enough. Dave Kreitzer and his team do such an outstanding job of delivering great projects. They're famous for delivering projects on time and on budget. And one of the things we love to talk about, given that this is the lightning round, when we're discussing Perkins Kreitzer Construction, is projects that they're doing. Well, they were the contractor that has built out the beautiful redo of the Miracle Hills Retail Center on the west side of 114th, north of Dodge. And I am happy to report that one of the first tenants in that place will officially open on June 6th. Funny Bone Comedy Club. Well, that used to be their commercial. At any rate, nice to have Funny Bone Comedy Club coming in there. We've told you they were coming. They've been working on it. Perkins Kreitzer Construction worked very hard on it, but June 6th is the official date. Now, they are going to be attached to Draftcade, which is a really cool, I'm not sure if they're opening on the 6th or not, but I'm sure it would be around the same time. But Brian will have to go check it out.
Oh yeah, how big is the Funny Bone going to be? How big of space are they taking?
Substantially bigger than the Village Point location.
Okay, good.
Yeah, and I can't tell you. I'm thinking the Village Point seated maybe 200 or so. I think this one's going to have quite a few more seats. And it'll be a lot newer.
And they've been around. Funny Bone has succeeded for many years. So
Yeah.
that's great. That's fantastic to have in Omaha.
Well, they're a chain in about 15 other cities. A lot of them in kind of that upper Midwest, east to northeast. But that's pretty cool. And that is, thanks to Perkins Kreitzer Construction for making this possible. All right, here we go. Curry in a Hurry is opening in the former Lutfi's fried fish. I don't know how to pronounce it. LUTFI' fried fish location. This is at 2527 North 72nd Street. Curry in a Hurry had been at 83rd and Maple. They closed on March 30th. People were devastated. And they had quite a loyal following. And so they found a new spot in this Curry in a Hurry. They're not open yet, but the signage is up. And they've got a food truck there. And that'll be a nice addition.
Who wouldn't want curry in a hurry?
When I'm in the mood for curry, I want it fast.
Yes.
Revival House, a cocktail bar owned by Omaha-based Flagship Restaurant Group, is set to open in mid to late June at 3737 Farnham Street. This is a brand new 9-story building right in the heart of the Blackstone District. Flagship has already opened up one of these Revival House locations in Des Moines, Iowa. And then, like I said, Flagship Space in Omaha, they have all sorts of concepts. Memoir, Ghost Donkey, Champagne Lanes, Clio, Blue Sushi, Roja, many, many others. Brian, do you like spicy chicken?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, then this is the place for you. Dave's Hot Chicken will officially open a second Omaha. They did officially open a second Omaha location yesterday. The exact address is 2615 South 180th Street. Translated into English, that's 180th and Center. It's a 4,000 square foot building that was previously Voodoo Taco, previously Jones Bros Cupcakes, previously Sheridan's Cup Custard. So hopefully this one will be here for a long time. Dave's Hot Chicken's a pretty good product. They've got a location on Saddle Creek down by the Med Center. And they are based in Los Angeles, Nashville-style chicken, locations in 36 states.
That's a great location, that building. And so I'm anxious to see someone that stay, thrive, and be there a long time because it's a fantastic location.
Me too. I'm kind of perplexed
I am
that
too.
a lot of places haven't lasted terribly long there. But, you mentioned some places didn't last, and so let's get some depressing news out of the way. We do have 3 closings to report. 2 closings and 1 for sale. First of all, closings. Kona Grill is the latest restaurant to go kaput at Village Point. They closed what seemed like rather suddenly, middle of the week. Been there, I believe, since Village Point opened in the early 2000s. They joined Paradise Bakery and Cafe, Johnny's Italian Steakhouse, Local Beer and Patio and Kitchen, and Bravo, all of which have left Village Point. However, Village Point has attracted new restaurants, including Medi's, Early Bird, the soon-to-open North Italia, and the soon-to-open K-Pot. The other closing is Get Real Sandwiches in the Blackstone District. They will be closing June 8th at 39th and Farnham Street. And then this is not a closing as far as we know, but Burger Detour has listed both of their locations for sale. So if you want to own Burger Detour, you can have it. Apparently it is available for sale. Ariat, I don't know how you pronounce it. It's A-R-I-A-T, so it's either Ariat or Ariat. They plan to open a store at Nebraska Crossing in Gretna. This will be in an 8,800 square foot space between Yeti and Athleta, opening planned for mid-July. Looks like a really cool concept based out of San Leandro, California. They are an apparel, footwear, and accessories retailer focused on equestrian and horse clothing. Not for horses, the people that ride them. But it's kind of like horse clothing gone mainstream.
Oh yeah. Ariat is that's a boot. That's a very popular
brand.
cowboy boot manufacturer. So that'll do well there.
All right. Well, Brian, thanks for joining us. I always appreciate it when you sub for us.
Thank you. It was a lot of fun, and don't wait 18 months next time.
Brian Hartman, NAI NP Dodge. Trenton will be back next week. Appreciate you joining us. I'm Jeff Beals. You've been listening to Grow Omaha, brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center, Cheer Athletics, and Perkins Kreitzer Construction on News Radio 1110 KFAB. If you like this video, be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons. And remember, Grow Omaha is not just media. This is a mission. We are trying to build up Omaha and make it an even better place. We can only do that with your help. Share this video with your friends, neighbors, and family.